If you're a US citizen who is looking for a plan B or some good options for a second passport, or you're thinking about it but you're not sure whether this is the right fit for you or not, then this video might be of interest to you, as today we'll be speaking about best passports for US citizens. My name is Jelena. I'm a strategy manager here at Nomad Capitalist, and we help entrepreneurs go where they're treated best. Now, one of the first things that come to mind when you're thinking about a second passport is obviously visa-free travel. Now, you as a US citizen, you have a rather good passport, so it has pretty good visa-free travel. And when thinking about a second passport, obviously for US citizens, there are two types of US citizens. One are those who plan on renouncing, the second one, those who are not planning on renouncing. And in both cases, you might want or need a second passport. So when we're thinking about what would be the purpose of a second passport, obviously number one thing that pops to mind is travel availability or visa-free travel. So as a US citizen with a US passport, you have a rather good travel document. So from that standpoint of view, you have access to a lot of countries in the world. There are some in particular that as US citizens cannot access, such as Russia and China, which may not be of interest to everybody, but there are people who have businesses there, who want to travel there. You have a family or a girlfriend in Russia or China, and you actually want to have access to those countries. In that situation, even if you don't want to renounce, a second passport may be pretty useful to you. On the other hand, for US citizens also who don't want to renounce, one important thing to note is that there is a system that the European Union is developing called ETIAS, which is basically a kind of a visa waiver program that you will need to apply for every year in order to have access to the European Union. So if you want to kind of bypass that, another thing you might want to consider is obtaining a European passport that will serve as a backup or a plan B that will help you with those kind of small travel hurdles and just kind of help you bypass some of those issues. Now, the second type of people who are US citizens who want to renounce, obviously for these people, a second passport is more important because you actually have to have another passport in order to be able to renounce. So you cannot be stateless at any point. So in this situation, there are different things that you need to take into consideration. One is what type of passport do you want to obtain? Do you want a passport that is similar to a US one? Or do you want a passport just to have it like a Tier B passport, like a Caribbean one, quick and easy to obtain, but not as good as your US passport? In case of US citizens who want to renounce, a second passport can be equally important for tax planning. Now, obviously, as a US citizen, as long as you hold that citizenship, you're going to be taxed in the United States no matter where you live, with certain exceptions. If you want to take that next step and free yourself from the United States reporting requirements and tax payments, you will definitely need another passport in order to do your tax planning and be able to renounce. Another thing that you can pay attention to and that may become equally important for some people are some global opportunities. So you as a US citizen, there are certain bank accounts, there are certain crypto accounts, trading accounts that are not available to US citizens. So you obviously have restrictions. When you try to apply, you actually cannot because you're a US citizen living in the United States, in which cases sometimes having a second passport, second residence, living somewhere else can definitely help you. Now, with banking, it's usually a case where if they don't accept US citizens, as long as you're a US citizen, you will not be able to bank there. But if you obtain another passport and if you go towards renunciation, those banks would be open to you as a customer. One of the things that I hear most commonly from our clients who come to us looking for a second passport is definitely they're worried about the politics in the United States. And they're worried about which direction the country is going, which is exactly the reason why they want to protect themselves and prepare for the future, whatever that may bring. Now, obviously, the big question is, even if you want to get a second passport, if you need it or you actually just want it, the big question is which passport to get. And that's a very open-ended question, and there is no one solution fits them all. But there are also a limited number of options when it comes to citizenship by investment or donation. So there's not an abundance of those options out there, but there are certain ones that might fit you better than some others. So if you're somebody who's looking to renounce and you want an equally good passport as a US one, then you might consider a Maltese passport. This is the only European passport now available for basically purchase, quote unquote. And it requires a kind of a substantial donation, additional fees that kind of round up to, let's say, $1 million or so, depending on how many dependents are coming with you. But Maltese Passport is actually better ranked than the US one. So it gives you kind of an additional couple of countries visa-free travel to, and it also gives you visa-free access to the United States if you wish to go back, visit family, or just spend some time in the United States even after you renounce. If you don't want to renounce, then you want to look into a Plan B option, which usually can be a Tier B or a Tier C passport, because at this point, maybe Tier A passport is not worth it for you. If you don't plan on renouncing for the foreseeable future, you just want to stay in the United States, but just have additional options. Now, when we're talking about a Tier B passport, the most popular ones are the Caribbean ones. There are 5 countries in the Caribbean that will allow you to get a passport through donation. Out of which St. Kitts right now is the most expensive one because it recently changed its donation requirements. And soon maybe other Caribbean countries might follow it, but as of now, the cheapest option is for $100,000 donation. You would be able to get a Caribbean passport for a single person. Now, if you're really not keen on donation and you just really want a Plan C, then you might consider citizenship by investment. And what is meant by this is basically through investing in real estate. The best option there is definitely Turkey. So Turkey allows you to get a passport in a couple of months, where you have to just invest in property there, $400,000. Now, this amount does not change no matter how many dependents are coming with you, as opposed to, let's say, Malta and the Caribbean one, where the amount changes based on number of dependents or your family members who are coming with you. Now, this may sound easy, however, these are tedious processes where you have to go through a lot of documents, you have to collect a lot of things to provide to those countries, and some of them are more strict than others. Some of the things that you absolutely must have is you must be in tax compliance. They will require you to show proof of your tax returns. You cannot have any ongoing lawsuits. Those might be an issue, whether in your personal name or your company name. And most importantly, you cannot have a criminal record. An additional thing you have to take into consideration is that these countries, when you're applying for the program, they want to see basically where your net worth comes from. So you have to have earned your money through legal means. And in addition to that, they want to see that you paying for this program will not put you in any financial crisis. So you would actually have to provide them proof of bank statements that you had a certain amount of money in that bank account for a number of months so that you can basically prove your liquidity. So if you're a US citizen, whether you're planning on renouncing or you're not planning on renouncing, whether you're planning on moving from the United States or not, there are definitely some things that you need to pay attention to, such as travel restrictions, any tax planning, global opportunities. You have to also pay attention to political stability in different countries in order to make a decision whether a second passport is the way to go for you. Now, as mentioned, it can be quite of a hassle and a tedious process to go through. A lot of documents are needed, a lot of small steps that you cannot miss in order to make the application on time and not prolong the process. Luckily, here at Nomad Capitalist, we helped hundreds of people get their second passports in a quick and easy way. And we are definitely here to help, whether you plan on renouncing or not, whether you're looking for a Plan A, Plan B, or C. This is something that here at Nomad Capitalist we can definitely help you with.